All right, and welcome back to another featured episode of the Jimmy T podcast. And we're here to talk about today is how, now that we look past UCF's bowl game that we're going to be competing in, is to see how all of this season will be impacting what will be an important offseason for the Knights, and as it is for any college program, is now you start to see recruiting as that becomes huge in any college program. And it's big that the football coach, Frost, in this case, is heavily involved in this process. And we saw this from even a recent scenario as of late, was that making some home visits as well to players is ranked as high as like 10th overall at their position. That's a lot of exciting prospects for the program as a successful season, and something to build off of will attract a lot of talented athletes to this university and program. And I think what probably might be the most attractive thing about UCF was to see the overall success the Knights were able to have with a lot of seniors. And that means that a lot of guys in key positions will be leaving. And even positions such as quarterback are ones that are not necessarily overly locked down. And that's something that is a selling point for Frost to say, hey, look, if you're able to come in here and compete, you'll be able to have a job. And that's something, as you go around with recruits, and that's something that appeals. And you're like, look what we were able to do with someone else's team, with someone else's players for the most part. Think what you can do, come and be my player and play for my team, and we get my program off the ground and running, and to see what can be done. And what actually is starting to get some buzz is the American Athletic Conference as a whole, as potentially being as the American Athletic Conference has sold it as a Power 6. And while many can disagree over that, but there was talk that as a conference as a whole, we were very competitive this year. We had 2 teams as of last week that were ranked in the top 25 for the college football playoffs, with Navy and Houston being that, and potentially Temple jumping in to finish out the rankings. And it's something that, as a program, to see, like, look, we're building this conference up. You can come be a part of this as we kind of can try to wreck the party that is the Power 5 conferences and get into some big bowl games and New Year's Six bowls and even potentially the college football playoffs as a whole. And all of that starts from recruiting in the offseason, getting the right players that aren't necessarily the 5-star blue chip players, but the 3 stars, the 4 stars that you're able to attract and build and mold into the image that you want of them. And I think that that's an important thing to watch as a Knights fan this offseason, to see what is a football team they're pulling in recruiting-wise, and maybe it's some players that will be the big names that we can get excited about in the future. And it's just something to think about this week. And this has been another featured episode of the Jimmy T Podcast. We'll see you next time.